I was only good at daydreaming. I overused superlatives. I was unable to give a witty text comeback without a spelling error. I couldn't not delete my messages. I was always in need of more than one good plaid shirt. I couldn't walk fast enough or slow enough. I was always 5 minutes late because I have no idea. I was so nervous in that bed on that late October evening. You wanted so badly to karate chop me in the neck. You couldn't hide your guilt the first time you stole mints from my mother's house. You did nothing but make earrings for those few weeks. It took you half the day to finish your cold coffee. Your collarbone tickled when you were at your most lighthearted. You took the most beautiful shape when your head sunk into a pillow. You convinced yourself that I was someone I wasn't. You weren't hideous. You were almost comfortable. I was so excited to share with you the feathers I stole. I loved going down on you. I hated that I couldn't find the answer to your stomach pains or do anything. I was awful at trivia. I did miss you on those nights when you were up the street. You couldn't turn left across traffic without a signal to guide the way. Your heart broke over the war in Ukraine. You couldn't not pee or hold it. You never let me hear you fart, except for that one time when you were asleep and, well, didn't. You were so hesitant to jump in that swimming hole half naked. You hated how I carried a quarter with no hands. We always said spanks instead of thanks. That silly little voice still speaks in my head, but never allowed to anyone else. We called each other Booberry. We split burritos and grits and enjoyed the same good coffee and played cards until we didn't. We spent the entirety of a snowy day constructing a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, drinking beer and eating pizza. Our parents got along wonderfully. Your dad's policies always had me laughing, like his cave policy, last one in, first one out, or the shark policy. I stay out of their water, they stay off my land. We somehow always got shocked when we kissed, more than anybody should ever get shocked when they kiss. We were electric, but somehow always tired. We'd like to say we'd do things and never actually follow through. We were really never that indecisive, or were we? You were always asleep 10 minutes into a movie. I could always tell because as you drifted off, your body twitched ever so slightly and the sound of bubbles popping escaped your mouth. I loved driving your car, especially on long road trips. I always took the viable route. You were never so sure. You could always share the orange Tic Tacs, just not the last two. I knew I loved you the minute I met you. You somehow knew even before that, or so I thought. It wasn't until that one morning in bed in an old voicemail. Hello? Hello? You hated when I pinched your nipples. I secretly loved when you gently laid your hand near my armpit. You smiled at me with your retainer in. I smiled back. You liked to check our horoscope every morning while I placed little faith in such things, so you did, or so we did. You told me receiving flowers was a bad omen when in a relationship, so I only gave you that one pinned to the windshield of your car in the middle of that warm fall afternoon. You hated my cold house in the winter. I listened most of the time. You were really only ever talking about my back fat. I was only ever trying to tell you how beautiful you were. Have I told you how beautiful you are lately? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We skied to a backcountry yurt. We hiked to Parsons Spring. We went wine tasting on Main Street. We went to San Clemente. We walked the 250 steps at 1,000 Steps Beach 4 times to actually total 1,000 steps. We waded through the cold waters to Hanging Gardens. Our campsites were somehow always spot off, except for that one, spot on. We took an early morning stroll through the Buffalo Park frost in the late morning of a beautiful and seemingly rare inversion. We coasted 19 miles downhill, side by side, in the illuminated darkness under the immensity of a summer honeymoon. We planned on going so many other places. We forgot to pack enough wine. You planned things out in advance. I preferred a more spontaneous path. You were so worried I'd hurt you. You weren't angry, just protecting your vulnerability. You went to Mormon Lake when you were hurt. I needed your love more than I needed anything. I bought you that ring with the hopes of making things better, not seeing them end. I should have forgiven you for all that wasn't your fault. I only ever wanted a back massage without asking. You needed your space. I was so paranoid about being alone again. You could never admit that you were wrong. I never could quite figure out that less is more. You clung to the past, sought an independent future, never with 2 feet planted firmly in the present. I lied about stupid things that didn't matter without any idea as to why. At a certain point, you stop trying. I wanted not to be hurt by your distance. The ball was and still is in your court, resting there, motionless. I did nothing but look for you for 28 years. We were so different, yet so similar in so many ways. You cared about getting into the foreign service, helping the homeless, education, and protecting yourself from the next bubonic plague epidemic. But you were never entirely sure. I wanted to be a good writer, become a strong climber, had visions of the next big adventure, and do nothing but just listen to the music. I was sure, but mostly I wasn't either. Best friends, almost. And just like that, everything else happened. Why not the things that could have? After everything, it feels like nothing. What a shame it wasn't easy. It was, though. I hate it here, where we are, perfect strangers. Not a silver mid-sized SUV goes by without my head turning slightly, or the whole damn way. And let me tell you, there are a lot of mid-sized SUVs driving around. Silver mid-sized SUVs driving around. The more I remember, the more distant I feel. Stop, seriously stop, is forever burned in my mind like an image that cannot be unseen, like the first time I saw your head fall into that pillow. Be beside me somewhere, in the passenger seat with your hand on my thigh, lying in bed with your head resting lightly, comfortably on my chest, walking in the fine sand of the warm California coastline, tempted but not quite ready to jump in the freezing cold ocean. Watching from above, laughing hysterically as I topple over myself again and again down an icy slope, facing me with your hands pressed firmly against mine, prompting me to perk up my dreadful posture one last time before we dance. If not there, then back when it was all new, when with a slip of a tongue I accidentally named your vagina Chiniqua, or you wore that dazzling black dress, mistook your toothbrush case for a vibrator, and we drank beer on the hops patio in the late afternoon summer sunlight, smiling, knowing. Scaling walls, weekend brunch, cards and coffee and wine and skipbo, flex battles, blacklisters, Mr. Longfinger, grilled cheese sandwiches, frog position, riding bikes to the next geocache spot, in-depth conversations about poop, schnoz honks never fully realized, backpacking trips we planned but have now abandoned, the universe and everything else I likely lost sight of between now and that first time our paths crossed nearly a year ago. What good is any of it if you're gone? That's it.